everyone, welcome back to H2K Infosys. Today we're going to learn a very important concept that is about the functions in Python. Okay, in the previous class we have learned all about the data structures. Today we're going to learn something about functions, how to write functions, how to use functions. The details we'll see it in the further class. So, functions is nothing but a block of code. Once if you write and keep, that can be used further. Okay, like this will used to avoid a repetition. Like for example, if you want to do a set of tasks one more time by changing just the parameters or some numbers and all, then you can make use of such reusable code. So the advantage of function here is once if you write the code, that can be reused again and again. Okay, like how we can reuse it, how we can freeze the code, those all things we'll see it further. Okay, like here the analogy what I could give you all is a function is like a recipe of a cake. So recipe is like once if you write and keep, that's it. Now you can make as many as cakes as you want by following those steps without rewriting the recipe each time. Now if you want to do a cake, you will just read that recipe and do it. You will not sit and write the recipe if you want to do the cake next time. You'll just see it and do it, right? In a very similarly, functions are also like the block of code which will be written at once and can be used multiple times. Okay. Now let's see the syntax, the indentation, and how we can call the function. The syntax is like here I have written one function. With this only I'll explain you the syntax. DEF is a keyword which will help you to define the function. So here DEF is a fixed keyword which you have to write it at the beginning and then followed by a function name. This function name is left to the user. He or she can define based on the task what he or she wants to do it. Okay, like for example in our Python we have the inbuilt functions as input and print function. These are the inbuilt function. It has its own task. Input function will help you to get the inputs from the user, whereas print function will help you to print the statement. In very similarly, what task you want to do and what name would you like to give, it depends on you. Based on that you can give a name. So based on the task you can give this function name. Okay, so DEF is a standard keyword followed by the function name of the user's choice. So you can follow the same rules which we have used it for writing the variable names. Now here what we are writing, and one more thing, indentation. So here this colon is necessary. Once if you write the colon, you will be coming into the loop, into the function. Okay, once if you write the colon and enter, you will be coming inside the function. So whatever the lines you are writing, it will be considered as the body of the function, the inside statement. Once we are done, you should come out of the function, that is to space back. Okay, so here what exactly we are doing is we are just greeting. It is just an example. Okay, so what we are doing, we are just writing one sentence that hello Python learner, welcome to the world of functions. Instead of this you can make anything, you can write anything and then try to execute this. How exactly it looks is, let me just show you. Yes, so here you can see the code, the same code. If I write the greet user this is out of the function. You can see the difference. If it is 2 space back, it is inside the function. Now I am out of the function. I am just calling this. So you can see this is printed. Okay. Now if you want to welcome one more time, okay, so you don't have to write this code and call this function. You can just call the function anytime. Like for example, I'm calling it one more time. So you can see this, it's printed one more time. Here it is just a greeting. Okay, you can call this function multiple times. What is the meaning of calling the function is, you are just writing the name what you have used it for defining. You can just copy this and you can call it as many as times you want. So here the task is simple. You can imagine whenever we have the difficult task, it will save our time. We'll see the different examples in future. So I'm just showing and making you all understand how to write the functions and how to make use of that. So you can see here, I have called this function 3 times and it is printing the result 3 times. Okay. Let's see the next thing now. Yeah. So now you have seen like how to greet it. So you can change the print statement and make a try of writing the function and calling the function. Now based on that, here we have one mini project where you can write a simple message generator. Okay, like here you can make use of a function name as display welcome message. If you feel it as the name is big, you can even reduce and make use of your own attractive names. Inside the function, print a few lines of a text that introduce the program. Like whatever you have learned till now, you can make use of any one of the topic and write some 2 to 3 lines and then call the function and just see how the result would be. Okay. Now we're going to see some more factors here. In the previous code, we just saw a basic function where we didn't had any parameters inside the bracket. Now we can have the parameters inside the bracket. Like for example, here we are adding 2 numbers. The 2 numbers which we want to add, those 2 are written here inside the parenthesis. Okay, these are actually called as parameters and these 2 I am using it inside this function. So result equal to a plus b, and what is the meaning of return here? Whatever is the result, that you are returning it whenever you are calling a function. Okay, now the next is arguments. The difference between the parameters and the arguments is, parameters is the one which you are making as an base, to define those in the function. Now arguments are the actual values which you want the result. Okay, for example, you want to add 5 and 10. So whenever you are calling the function, you can write those numbers here inside. Do remember, just observe, there are 2 parameters, so you can write only 2 numbers. Instead of 2, if you write 1, you will get error. Instead of 1, if you write 3, then also you get errors, because how many parameters we have passed here? 2. So we are adding 2 numbers, so you have to write 2 numbers only. Okay, let's see the result, and as I said, this return will give you the results. Yes, so here you can say it is returning 15. I'll take one more example if you want. see, add, you can call the functions like this way, add numbers. Inside the bracket you can write any number, like for example 36 comma, if I write 90, 39, 75. Okay, I'll be getting the result as 75. Now I was telling, like if I write only one number, it throws an error. Okay, because it will not accept it. You can see missing one required positional argument, B. You have written only one, so you have to write one more. Now if I, instead of 2, if I write 3, it takes only 2, but we have given 3. Okay, you can, if you want, you can write, add one more here, then add one more here. This works, but it shows error here because we don't have another parameter here. Got it? Now this also you will get it. Okay, it all depends on what parameters you have written, how many parameters you have written. Okay, based on that we will be getting the addition. So this is the advantage. Now you know, once you have written this code, this is the block of code which I was telling it in the definition. Once if you write this block of code, you can make use of it by calling the function again and again. You can call this function again and again. Like for example, I can just call it one more time without defining it again. I can change the arguments. I will be getting the results. See? If I add the print, so for the bigger task, the functions are used a lot. Okay, like once if we define a task, we can reuse it again and again, like how we have used it here. Okay, so now based on what you have learned, we have one more mini project where you have to create a function that converts a temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit. Okay, so define a function so where it should take only one parameter. Okay, like C you can write, and then write a calculation like C into 9 by 5 plus 32. Okay, then return F. You can return that Fahrenheit value and call the function and add whatever Celsius temperature and get the Fahrenheit result. Okay, anyway the results will be given to you. You can verify it later, but make a try once. Okay, now here default and keyword arguments. Like the thing is, here instead of giving two different parameters, one, if you want to freeze it, you can freeze that. Default argument is something like you can give a parameter a default value that should not be changed. Like for example, we had a values A and B, both were able to change it whenever we were calling the function. Here default is something like if you want to freeze one of the parameter, you can freeze it. You can give a parameter a default value. If an argument for that parameter is not provided when the function is called, the default value is used. If you miss out, if you don't give the default, here the body will be used there. Got it? Okay. And keyword arguments is like you can pass arguments by their parameters name. This makes your code more readable and allows you to pass the arguments in any order. Okay, like for example, here we have an animal type and pet name as the default. We had taken it as a buddy, and I'm just printing it. I have an animal this type and we are naming it like this. So describe pet dog is there. When I write dog, it will be printed and its name will be considered as buddy only. And then here I have changed it. Okay, it will accept that. If you don't write, it will name it as Buddy. Okay, here it will type it as cat and whiskers. Okay, and here we have a one more thing. So here we are naming it as pet name as Max and animal type as rabbit. Okay, let's see those results. So you can change it and then use it however you wish, however you want to fix the things. You can see all those things. So everything is accepted. Okay. If you write, if you don't write, both are accepted. If you don't want, the by default value will also be considered. Many times in filling the forms, the people will leave some things blank. In that, if you want to provide a default some numbers, you can freeze such things. Okay. Now we have a capstone project here, the one till now whatever we have learned in the functions, make use of that and then define build a project based on automated calculator. So what it should do is you have to build a calculator that uses a multiple functions for a different operations. Okay, so what you can do is you can take add function, subtract function, multiply function and divide function. Each should take 2 parameters, and inside that definitely you are aware add means you should write a plus b, subtract a minus b, multiply a star a asterisk b, division a slash b. Okay, even you can make use of if else to call the correct function based on the user choice. Okay, so make a try for this. And we have an assignment here where you have to create a program that calculates the area and perimeter of a rectangle. The details are given to you. You can put a try. Hope you have enjoyed the session. Thank you.